Guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle/high school, and high school age. Today I am participating in a collaboration with Abby from Rooted in Rest and Jessica from the Waldock Way, all about how to make history fun in your homeschool. If you're not subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you're notified of all of my future videos. If you're looking for more support and homeschool community, I would love for you to come check out my membership community. I will leave a link for that in the description box below. So let's get started. Okay guys, I have to preface this video by letting you know that I absolutely love history. I love history. I had a US history concentration in college. I was so excited when I started researching homeschooling back when Emma was really little itty bitty baby to find a curriculum company that focused on history for homeschooling, and that is Sunlight. And we have used Sunlight for many years now. I think we have purchased 14 levels from them and we love them. I love them. I love the literature-based history. It's great for me. Now, I know that not everybody loves history as much as I do. So I think that's probably going to be my first tip. If you are interested in a topic or a subject, your kids are more apt to be interested in that topic or subject. You have to show them that you really enjoy what you're teaching, otherwise they are not going to enjoy what you are teaching. So that is really my first tip for you. Make sure that the resources that you are using are things that you really love and identify with. There are so many people out there that will say, make sure that you teach the way that your child needs to learn. What is your child's learning style? However, you also have to match that with your teaching style, and that is going to be different across the board. So while I love literature-based learning, not everybody loves literature-based learning. So the first tip really is to make sure that the resources that you are using, you love those resources and you're passionate about the subject that you are teaching. Now, that can be a little challenging for some subjects like math. I'm not sure that anybody's really ever passionate about teaching math, but I think that history, there's a lot of wiggle room within history to be able to find something that you love within history to teach to your kids. Now, obviously, I don't want to tell you to go outside of your state laws for homeschooling. You obviously need to teach what is required based on your homeschool laws, but I think there is a lot of wiggle room to address different topics within history that maybe are not the normal trajectory of learning through what you would remember from your own schooling days. I think most of us were public schooled. I know that I do have a few that were homeschooled, which I think is amazing to see multi-generational homeschoolers, but for me, I was in public school, so, that's what I think of when I think of history. But there's so much more. I mean, you can choose any sort of topic and look at the history of that topic. If your kids are really interested in trains, do a deep dive on the history of trains. And don't just, you can look at just US history, you can look at world history, you can look at how we use trains today versus how other countries use trains. I mean, there's so many different ways to look at the history of trains, and that can be incorporated into your homeschool. And so that's my second tip. If you are struggling finding something that you really are passionate about teaching within history, look at a topic or something within your own life that you really love, and then look at the history of that particular thing. It could be sports, it could be vehicles, it could be, you can look at the history of anything. If your kids really like comic books, look at Norse mythology, watch the Thor movies, you can look at all kinds of different things. I think taking a little bit of time to step away from what you think of as history, US history, world history, 20th century history, covering the Civil War, Civil Rights Movement, World War I and World War II. There's so much more. It doesn't just have to be about that. And in fact, for my kids, they get a little burnt out when we just are constantly talking about the wars and the destruction and the negative things. So incorporating the history of some fun things is always exciting. And I think that that really helps quite a bit. Another way that we make history fun in our homeschool is to attach documentaries or historical movies associated with the time period that we're studying or the topic that we are studying. I absolutely love to match video content with what we are reading in our homeschool. So I have a subscription to Curiosity Stream. It is a documentary streaming service, and there are so many documentaries available. A lot of them are available in other places, but subscribing to Curiosity Stream, I think it's like $30 for a year. It gives you the opportunity to find all of them in one spot rather than, oh, this one might be on Amazon, this one is on Netflix, this one I think you can find on YouTube. And you can just go in and you can do it by time period in history, significant figures. There's all kinds of different documentaries. It's not just history related, but there are so many great history documentaries. And then again, using like the History Channel, that is another great place to find historical movies or documentaries or content related to history. That is another thing that we really like to do. So, for example, a couple of years ago, we read this great book called Bomb, and it was all about creating the atomic bomb. And now Oppenheimer has come out this past year. And so that is a movie that we will watch and connect some of what happened from that book that we read to today. Emma is in 20th century world history this year. So that is very relevant to what we are studying. And I'm looking forward to watching that with her. There are all kinds of different movies available. There was Radium Girls that came out in the past few years. That's another great movie. Obviously, not all of these movies are 100% historical, factually based movies, but it does give you something else to kind of make you more interested in the topic at hand. Now, for my youngest, I do a lot of movies and TV shows associated with history. She's doing US history this year, and so we're watching Liberty Kids, which is something that Emma and Jack watched then when they went through the US history, the elementary US history level through Sunlight, and so that is a lot of fun. But then the other thing that I do with my younger kids is project-based learning. Now, there are so many good books out there that are history related and that have projects attached to them. So you can either do like lap books and unit studies with projects built in, or you can get books that are around whatever topic you want to study within history, and often they will have projects built right into the book. One of the books that Lucy and I have been reading, or we read this year, was Native American Cultures, and it says with 25 projects, and at the end of each section, there are some projects listed. So we can choose whichever ones we want to do and do those projects, and it just adds an extra layer of learning for your kids. Now, it doesn't have to just be elementary kids that are doing these projects. My older kids love any type of art projects or handcrafts or anything like that. And I think that is just another way to encourage learning with any subject, but especially history, because you can look at different cultures and see the different foods that people ate or the different things that they did within their daily lives, and bring that to life in front of your kids. I think that is really cool. Now, the last tip that I have for making history fun is to lean on discussion. And this is especially helpful for my older kids because they are older, and we spend a lot of time discussing historical events, current events, all of the events. Pretty much anything is up for discussion in our home, and it's something that I started with my kids when they were very young. Like I said, we use Sunlight curriculum, and so there are questions within the instructor's guides for Sunlight to discuss with your kids. And we started asking questions at a very young age. Whenever I am reading to my kids, or we are watching something, or we are doing anything, I am constantly asking them questions and letting them discuss things with me. I think that that is a way for them to have buy-in. And if they have buy-in about the topic, they're going to remember the topic. I am not one for just memorizing dates and events. That isn't something that I really do in our homeschool, but instead we talk about the events, we discuss the events and how it relates to today, things that we can learn from those events, things that maybe were done that we would have done differently. All of that is really, really important to me in our homeschool. And I think that that does make history fun for us because we're relating to it. We're really looking at all of the facts. We're looking at it from different points of view. We're challenging ourselves to say, why did it happen this way? Or what would I have done differently? Or why do I think that that was a good or a bad thing? And taking the time to have that discussion, I think, is great for your kids. It is something that takes many, many years to build up, and not everything is going to be a great discussion. There are definitely times when my kids are just like totally over history and don't want to deal with it. But there are other times when it takes us so long to get through a book because we're having such great discussion. One of those books that we read this year that I read with Emma this year is this book, Seven Men Who Rule the World from the Grave. And there was so much great discussion from this book. We talked so much about this book. It took us way longer than I thought it would. I mean, the book, the way that the schedule is written, it was not supposed to take us nearly the amount of time, but because every paragraph, Emma would have something to say about that paragraph, and we would just get into a big discussion about current events and how the things in this book are, very relate to a lot of what's going on today. It was really, really incredible and interesting. And so it kind of brings us back to the first thing that I said, which was have buy-in yourself and be passionate about the topic that you're teaching. Because when you are interested and passionate about topics, your kids will see that and it will encourage them to also be passionate about that topic. Now, that doesn't mean that every single thing is going to be so lovely in your homeschool, and if you just want it enough, it's going to just go really, really well. That's not true. But the more you are able to be excited about the topics that you are teaching your kids, the more your kids will be interested and will want to learn more. And I think that that discussion piece is a huge piece for us because it does help us figure out where we want to go next. Is there something else that's really interesting that we have found, from this book that we want to then go and look for a movie about, or a documentary? Or is there a project that we learned about in this Native American cultures book, but we want to go bigger? We want to do something much bigger. And so we go to the store and look for a lot more resources and supplies to make this larger project. Like, for instance, building the Plains teepee, you can build like a really miniature version, or perhaps you want to go out in the woods and build a real one. And is that a project that you can work on with your dad or with your mom? and really bring history to life that way. So I think that it's kind of multifaceted. You want to have hands-on learning, you want to have discussion-based learning, and you want to visually see some of those things that you're reading about within history. Now, there are other great options for history, things like games. We love that Scrambled States game. We love Ticket to Ride. We love the US History Cookbook, where each state has a different recipe or a couple of different recipes that you can then make. That's another great way to encourage fun in your history. So there are a lot of ways. I think that just taking a stop and thinking outside of the box is what is most important, because oftentimes if we buy curriculum or we're thinking about public school, we will just be in that tunnel and we won't think about the other things that you can add in. And does that mean that you're going to be able to complete all of your curriculum if you take all of these tangents? Well, no, you'll have to decide, okay, we're going to skip this and we're going to change this, because you're giving more time to outside activities that maybe weren't built into the curriculum or resources that you have in front of you. So that, I think, is where I will wrap up with how to make history fun in our homeschool, the things that we do pretty regularly. Again, we're in our 13th year homeschooling this year, so it's been a long, a long time. Now, not every piece of every history curriculum that we have ever taught is amazing for us. There are definitely times when things are just not as exciting, and those are the times when I do try to change the thinking a little bit or change some of the resources surrounding the particular time period or topic that we're discussing. But I think that overall, just kind of being open to new ideas and discussing new ideas and looking for other resources is very, very helpful and will keep not only history fun, but all of your subjects fun. So again, I want to thank Abby and Jessica for hosting this collaboration, and I will have a link for the playlist in the description box. If you have any questions about anything that I talked about, please let me know in the comments, or you can email me. My contact form is always in the description box. I hope that you liked this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.